Learning to Nishmas Etta Yaakov Maseches Me'ilah Perek Vav Mishnah Aleph Hashliach she'asa shlichusay balabayis mal. If a balabayis tells the shliach to be moitze mois hegdish lechulin, and he's a shegeg, then the balabayis will be chayiv the carbon Me'ilah. So even though b'chol haTorah kula ein shliach l'dvar avera, so the Gemara in Kedusha and Daf Mem Beis Amud Beis asks this kasha, and the Gemara answers, Shani Me'ilah di alpha chet chet me truma. Me'ilah is different. We learn out Gzeres Shava from truma. Ma truma mashvi shliach. Just by truma, we find that you could appoint a shliach to take off your truma. Af Me'ilah mashvi shliach, that you'll be over the avera of Me'ilah through shlichus. Taisus over there asks the question that why do you need Gzeres HaKasev to tell me that yesh shliach dvar avera by Me'ilah? The reason why ain't shliach l'dvar avera normally is because divrei harav, divrei hatalmud, divrei Mishna Yomi. Because we tell the shliach, why are you listening to the Mishaleach? You should be listening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore you're over the avera. However, by Me'ilah, which is only b'shegeg, so the shliach doesn't even know he's being over, so it still should be ein. It should be yesh shliach l'dvar avera. We should say that there's the svar divrei hatalmud doesn't apply. So Taisus answers over there in Kedusha and Beis and Beis that Hachamayri afilu nizker hashliach ka'amar demo balbayis. Even if the shliach is a mezid, but the balbayis is a shegeg, it will pass Me'ilah. And for that, you need the Gzeres HaKasev. We'll get back to this in a second. The Mishnah says, Lo yasa shlichusay hashliach mal. However, if the shliach does not listen, like we'll see soon, then the shlichus is batal, and the Mishalech is not over, the shliach is over Me'ilah. Ketzad, Omar loy 10 basar la'orchim, v'nosan lahem kaved. If the owner, the balbayis, told the shliach to give this basar hektish to guests, and instead of giving them basar, he gave them liver, or kaved v'nosan lahem basar. And the Gemara explains that liver is not meat, but it is something that if I ask you to do meat, you would ask me, do you mean liver? It's a davar that's nimla chalav. So l'gabi hilchos nedarim, there's a machlekes tanoim whether that's considered the same min or not. But over here, the Gemara comes out. Abaye says that according to everyone, we would consider it not part of the shlichus because he should have asked and he didn't ask. So therefore, he's being mevatel the shlichus, and therefore hashliach mal, the shliach is mal. Let's say Amar loy ten lehem chaticha chaticha. He told the shliach to give him one piece. Each person can take one piece. And he tells the archim each person can take 2 pieces. And the archim l'maisa took 3 pieces. Kulan ma'al, they're all ma'al. So the Gemara asked that why is the balabayis ma'al? I told you to give him 1 piece and you offered 2. So you were meisif al shlichusay. So do you have a raya from here that meisif al shlichusay have a shlichus? The Gemara is madcha that no. The shliach was very carefully, and he told him that on 1 piece I'm doing it b'shlichus the mishalech, and therefore the balbayis is mol on that 1 piece. The second piece is midaiti. I'm not listening to him. I'm saying it for my own thing. So therefore the shliach mol on that last piece. And the third piece that the archim took, that they took midaiti, that's why they're mol on that piece. And this is a lengthy sugya in Ksuvis, also tzadich chesam abeis, whether shliach has moisef al shlichusay, if it is a shliach, but from our Mishnah al Kopanim you don't have a raya. The Mishnah ends off, Omar loy have loy min hachaloyin megaluskma. He told him to take from the window or the bag, and the Teisyantav explains over here just a window doesn't mean a window that went through and through that you could use for light. It meant a window like a hole in the wall where they used to put things in, like a carve out. So vehevi loy, if he brings from there, afal pisha amar balabayis lahiya belibi el mizeh vehevi mizeh. Even though the balabayis says no, I was thinking from the gluchama, not from the chaloyin. But since he didn't speak it out, balabayis mal, the balabayis is mal. The Gemara on Kedushin daf nun and aleph brings a raya from here that dvarim shebelev einam dvarim. Aval zok the Mishnah amar loy havei loy min hachaloyin vehevi loy min gluchama min gluchama vehevi loy min hachaloyin. So then he mefurish spoke out that I want you specifically this place and not the other place. So then it's like the case of loy asa shlichusay, the shlichus is batal, and therefore the shliach is mal and not the balabayis. Mishnah Beis shilach biyad cheres shoyte v'katan im asa shlichusay balabayis mal loy asa shlichusay hachem v'ni mal. If even though the shliach was a cheres shoyte v'katan, the mishalech is going to be mechayiv. And the Gemara asks v'halab b'nei shlichusay nino. The Gemara answers in 2 different ifanim, but asol kemata and shalzeisim is the first pshat. That even over here, since he's nicha with it, even though it doesn't pass the real din of shlichus, we say that he's mal. And Taisus asks that, what do you mean? If you're learning it out from Truma, chet mi Truma, by Truma we find that the shliach has to be a bardas. So why don't you say also the shliach over here has to be a bardas? And Taisus over here speaks out that we spoke out in an earlier share, there's two types of me'ilah. Me'ilah for the hana and the pagam, and that doesn't pass by shlichus, we spoke out then. Because whenever you have me'ilah by shlichus, the vart is because of haitzah from the rishus, and for the haitzah of the rishus, that misvara, the shliach doesn't have to be a baldas. As long as I'm nicha that he's taking it out of the rishus, will pass yesh shliach dvar avera. If he's loyas a shlichus, so then the mishalech is not mol because he was mevatel the shliach. The shkir sheit of a katan or lab b'nei, so they're not mol. So only the haitzah from rishus is only the chemini. Shilach biyar. Pikeach v'nizkar ad shelo higiach etzel chemini, hachemini mol k'sheyotzi. The mishalech remembers before, so he's a mazid, and Me'ilah is dafka b'shegig. Rashi says, the pasuk says v'chata b'shkoga mikadshei Hashem. So over here he's a mazid, so the balabais is not negei Me'ilah. The Gemara asks, so why isn't negei the shliach's Me'ilah? So the Gemara answers, Masnisa namik shenizkar shneim. The shliach is also a mazid. So only one who's a shegig over here is the chemini, so that's why the chemini is mal. But if the balabais was a mazid, but the shegig is a shliach, then and a chanami, the shliach would be mal. So there's two ways to understand that. There's two Rashis, Rashi in Kedushin on Daf Nunam and Aleph, and Rashi in Chagiga. So Rashi in Kedushin says, because then it goes back to the old halacha of Ein Shliach Dvar Avera. If it's Niskar Balabayis, and just the Shliach was a Shegig, so you would say Ein Shliach Dvar Avera, and the Shliach is Mal. Or Kibeger points out that, like the Taisus we spoke out in the beginning of the share, there's no Divrei Rav, Divrei Talmud B'chiyah Gamna. So then you would have to say the other pshat in Rashi is that if the Balabayis is Niskar, so Zanan Sadi, that he's not Nicha with the Shlichus, he doesn't want to be over the Aveira of Hekdesh, and therefore he's Mevatel the Shlichus, and therefore the Shliach would be Mal. But the case of the Mishnah again is talking about the Shliach is also, like our Gemara says, Masnisa Namik Shenizkur Shneim, the Mishalech and the Shliach were amazed, so therefore only the Chemini is Mal. The Mishnah ends off with the Etta, Ketzed Yase, Yitol Pruta Ekli, V'yomer Pruta Shel Hekdesh B'chomakim Shemechalelos Alzeh, Shehekdesh Nifte B'kesev V'shav Kesef. The owner has a way to get rid of the hekdesh by being paide, and thereby no one will be mechalel the hekdesh.